Welcome everyone to a new episode of Arab Market Cap. Today the episode is in English and it will be subtitled below. I'm so happy to have with me Amrita Seti. Welcome Amrita to this live podcast with Arab Market Cap. How are you doing today?
Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm doing great. I've been very, very busy at the moment because, there's Art Dubai happening in Dubai at the moment. And there's lots of people coming from around the world to visit, really. So it's really buzzing here.
Yeah, definitely. And Dubai is becoming the hub of everything crypto related, including NFTs. So for the people that do not know who you are, can you just what is your like
Yeah.
career passion right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so my name's Amrita Sethi, and I'm the first NFT artist in Dubai, the UAE. And I'm also the creator of my own art genre style, which I call sound bites. Effectively, what a soundbite is I first take a word, or first I would do a record. So first I say a word or a phrase or a name, and I capture the fluid shape and structure of the sound wave through a voice note. And then each of the lines of the sound wave I draw to match the meaning of the word. And so I created this concept of sound bites. But before all of this, um, I wasn't always, as you said, like when you talk about career path, I wasn't always an artist.
Mm,
I started off as a banker.
wow.
So I've been in finance for a very, very long time. I was there for like 13, 14 years. And I then decided a couple of years ago to get out of the corporate sector as well. So not only was I in banking, but in the corporate sector. And I actually wanted to leave just more for an entrepreneurial calling. And when I did, I kind of reconnected to an artistic self that I had when I was a kid. I don't know if you're somebody who has, passions and hobbies, and you thought, oh, well, I'll go and do something else. Well, that was me. I was always very passionate about art, but I then kind of got sidetracked with life. But I
Mm,
also really loved economics. I mean, that's what I studied at university. I really, it's a very strange thing. I actually really, really loved that aspect of it. So it's really something of this act. I can very much activate both sides of my brain, from my left brain and my right brain. And then I just kind of reconnected, I would say, to that. I found my own voice, when listened internally to who I was, and then I created this. And then from that, I became, from a corporate to an entrepreneur, entrepreneur to an artist, and then artist to NFT artist. And then that's how it all works. And because I was a banker, understanding how NFTs work became a very like easy, or can sort of very intuitive concept, because I understood what blockchain was, and it was just easier for me to kind of pick up on it very quickly, basically.
that's perfect. And so the first time you've already known blockchain before, and then how did you exactly get into like the NFT making? What was the first NFT you've made?
I started off, like, as I said, I was doing a lot of, before I was creating all my art digitally, right? So
Hmm.
because I use sound, I use technology, to capture the sound wave. I use a lot of that stuff, and I was drawing everything digitally. But pre NFTs, what a lot of digital artists have to do is they have to make them into physical forms for them to be, admired or made rare or scarce, for example. So I also do murals and stuff like that. So I was creating physical items. And
Okay.
then COVID hit, right? So
Yeah.
during COVID, everybody just went online. And
Hmm.
then that's when I discovered NFTs. And I discovered them originally through the owner of a platform called Terra Virtua. And so they're an NFT platform, and they were the ones who told me about it. So I actually launched my very first collection with them. Obviously, my knowledge of, obviously, like contracts and minting and everything else is much, much, more advanced now. But back in the day, it was just like, I they they told me what to do. I created the art and I minted it straight away onto Terra Virtua. At the
Yeah.
time, Terra Virtua was a closed system, so it wasn't interoperable. But like now, for example, it is interoperable. So you can actually go to Terra Virtua and like move it around and move it off, if that makes sense. So, I mean, that's also been on the journey, right? Yeah, so that's how I first kind of got into it.
Perfect. And we're gonna put on the screen your sound bites artwork. And
Yeah.
then you said this is a collection. Can you just explain to us, like, is this soundbite collection already out? Soundbite, sorry.
Yeah. So my sound bites is my overall concept of all my art, right? So
Okay.
I have various collections or sub collections under sound bites because every word is effectively like I would say, is a collection in itself. So I started off doing places but like more like countries, like soundscapes of like Dubai or London. And then I've kind of done some other stuff after that. Recently, I created a soundbite. So soundbite is the concept, and then the collection or the word is different. So I created, I think it's definitely the largest mural in the UAE, but we're talking to sort of like it is potentially even, I think, one of the world's largest augmented reality NFT mural. And so those who know Dubai is actually at the DIFC, which is a very prominent sort of, that is the financial hub. So the mural is like 20 meters long, 15 meters high, and I painted that mural, and then I applied augmented reality to that mural. And that whole mural, so you're just standing there, and that whole mural kind of comes to life. It's it's very sort of cool, right? So what I do is I've got my sound bites as my art genre, and then what I try to do after that is then think about how I can go and I would say, just really unlock certain amount of creativity for it. For me, a lot of the time, NFTs have meant that, people focus too much, I think, on how much money or people can make, or like a lot of all these kind of buzzwords or buzz concepts that come out of NFTs, right? But for me, one of the biggest advantage for NFTs for me was that it actually unlocked so much potential in terms of creativity, because your art goes from being a very static 2D just visual experience to something that can be a lot more multi-sensory and kind of multi-dimensional concept, right? So already just by nature of my soundbite, sound is fluid, right? And you have this kind of very fluid concept, but it's very dynamic. So what I've done is I created 2D animation, 3D animation. Then I've got into augmented reality, because what I'm trying to do is bridge this kind of hybrid and create like a hybrid reality experience between, the digital world and the physical world. So then also people kind of understand the importance of the paradigm shift that's happened with NFTs for the creator economy, rather than just going, oh, look at that dude, he's just made like X amount on an NFT collection. There's a lot more depth to it, I think, and that's what I'm trying to showcase to both the people, what I would say, in the physical world, and also those who are more familiar with the digital world.
Okay. Very interesting, by the way. And I love the way you're using technology like 2D, 3D, AR, and incorporating art into it. It's really impressive, and especially like the voice and everything you've done with your previous collections. So we've spoke about that. You have a new collection coming up. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's super exciting. So at the moment, as I said, with my sound bites, what tend to happen is I say the word, and then I've got the images that match, to tell that match that sort of word. But what I wanted to do was create my own language, right? Because as we go into Web3, and as we're more connected internationally, I wanted to kind of create a language that it could be mine, and also everybody else. It's like whether you speak English, whether you speak Arabic, whether you speak Japanese, it's like a new thing.
Mhm.
I'm just in terms of my background, I was born and brought up in Kenya. I'm of Indian origin. Um, I've lived in lots of different countries. I've lived in Dubai for the last 14 years. I'm married to a Swiss, so I've got all of these touch points around me of a very international background. But unfortunately, I've just for some reason never really picked up many languages other than English, right? So when you think about language, and when I see like Hindi or Arabic or Chinese or Japanese, they look beautifully written, but for me, they're just shapes, right? Or symbols. And
Mhm.
and to be fair, also English is just a shape and a symbol, right? So I thought to myself, well, why don't I just make my own shapes and symbols? Um, and I think that one of the other things about NFTs and I would say one of the other things about NFTs and the metaverse is that you can kind of create your own um, anything is possible. One thing I've realized with this whole space is with technology, almost anything can be possible. Like, and that's what's, I mean, it's really exciting, but it can also be very overwhelming at the same time. So I thought, okay, well, if I can create my own language, why not, right? So I've taken the alphabet,
Mhm.
reimagined it for Web 3.0 effectively, and then layered on my sound bites concept to create the alpha bites, which is also, a really nice kind of play on the word bite of the alpha, which it talks, alpha you talk a lot about when you're talking about NFTs. And it's one of the kind of like buzzwords within this space, basically. And so with the alpha bytes, just like with the alphabet, you have letters. So I break down the alphabets into alphabets, which are the letters of the thing. So
Mm.
you can see that I have my own key. I have, an A looks like an arrow, or maybe an E looks like an Ethereum. Like it's just random, whatever I've decided that symbol to be.
Yeah, I
And
saw Bitcoin in the collection.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
A,
yeah.
B, C, and
Mm.
stuff like that. And so what I wanted to do is that Art Dubai was coming up. It's one of the big sort of international fairs, art fairs that is
Mm.
traditionally, I would say, a traditional physical art fair. But this year they have created an NFT section, which is also really amazing news because that just really shows NFTs coming into the mainstream, right? Um, anyway, so what I wanted to do for my first word from my alphabets is create something with a little bit of meaning. So when you go to an NFT section, you would imagine to see, physical, like as in like you would imagine to see all the digital screens with the NFTs. But I'm a bit extra, so I wanted to do something a little bit different. And I wanted to bring the digital to the physical. Because at the end of the day, what is the metaverse, right? The metaverse is we've gone physically and put ourselves into the digital world, right? Physically going into the digital. But what I'm trying to do here I'm trying to take the digital back to the physical. So instead of the metaverse, I'm reversing the metaverse. So
Mhm.
my first word is actually meta reversed.
Okay,
So
cool.
it's the word meta reversed in my language. And so it looks like, and it also goes along the shapes and structure. So when you see the artwork, you'll see like there's like a circular thing at the beginning. That's like, it looks like an 8, but actually that's M for Mobius. It's like M for your Mobius a shape, basically. And when you look at a sound wave, when you think meta reverse, so M and then the T, the triangle, the sound wave. So the peak of the triangle is higher, which means the M is bigger, and the T, the triangle, is bigger, whereas the E in the middle is smaller because you want to get this vibe of a sound wave flowing through, the artwork, right? So
Amazing. Very cool. Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank
I love what you do, and if we would like to get to know or buy or see or listen to these sound the sound bites, how can we do that?
Yeah, so just head down to the alphabytes.com and you'll see that I've actually fractionalized the sculpture. So I've created a sculpture. So there's going to only be 145 NFTs. When you buy the NFT, you actually get a fractional of the physical sculpture as well. And I fractionalized the sculpture. So the sculpture is made out of 145 separate aluminium pieces that have been dipped and in like it's made out of aluminium and then it's dipped in copper and silver and gold finishing. So you actually get a piece of the physical artwork, and one lucky collector actually gets the entire base of the thing, all for the same price,
Okay,
basically.
amazing. And you can even scan it for AR? Like you could
Yeah,
take
so
it.
exactly. So you scan it, and what will happen is the sound wave will come up. I mean, you can even do it straight from the website as well. There's a QR code, point it at the image, and then the sound wave will come up the image, and then it decodes it back into English like a secret code.
Very amazing. I love what you've done with reimagining the alphabet for Web3. It's really cool to see. Very innovative. So I see your creative and entrepreneurial side. It's really
Thanks.
put into action there. Ask you, when is it coming out, or is that secret?
So it's already no, I mean it's already live. So people at the fair this weekend can actually people who go to the fair can guarantee to have like to mint already. So they like what they can do is they can go pay the money directly to the gallery, which is Moral Collective, and they've already guaranteed like a mint, right? And that's
Wow.
going to happen this weekend. And then we'll open the whitelist. Then we'll also do the whitelist is open, so they can go to the website, and then those who what will have a pre-sale, which will have for the whitelist, and then a public sale, and then 2 days later or sometime afterwards, there's going to be a reveal because you don't know which one you're going to get, right? You don't know what part of the physical artwork you're going to get.
Okay.
So I don't know
Uh,
if you want to explain that or how
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so let's explain that exactly. So, the people that attend the Art Dubai between the 9th and the 13th of March. Okay,
that's right.
perfect. I understand why you have a lot of things going on. Thank you so much for taking the time okay, 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 perfect. Very busy woman, so thank you so much for taking the time.
Fine,
Uh,
darling.